Welcome to Firehorse Podcast, where we speak to B2B founders and leaders about how they actually grow businesses, win new clients, and use AI in a way that drives real results, not just theory. Today, I'm joined by Dave Goyal, founder of Think AI. Dave has been working in AI since the 90s, built multiple companies, including both successes and failures, and now he focuses on helping businesses actually use AI to drive outcomes, not just experiment with it. Dave, great to have you on. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me, Emily. I'm excited to talk about it.
We're very happy to have you here. So you mentioned before when we spoke that you've built around 9 companies and 5 of them were failures. So looking back on that journey, what do you think those experiences taught you about building and growing a business that you couldn't have learned any other way?
Perfect. Yeah, and that's the best way to start failure. But honestly, those failures taught me what success would teach me. Failure had a pattern, wrong partner, wrong timing. And I classify most of it as failures, but it's not. It's really what I wanted to achieve out of it is missing. So wrong partner, not working out, wrong timing, wrong business even at times, right? So these are the things that I stack up. And when I did this stack up, I figured, there is a pattern of me and also the kind of things I want to do. And that taught me what to do, what I'm good at, what I'm best at, what is my superpower, and where I can take my journey. I also want to mention, and I'm pretty proud of that as well. I'm a disabled entrepreneur. Everyone has a disability in one shape or form. They don't acknowledge it. I do. So I wear braces, but that gives me a different superpower. It gives me a thinking superpower. I can walk way faster than a lot of people. But then again, I'm dyslexic, which means I have different cognitive disbalance in the sense that I think way faster. So sometimes when I'm saying certain things, it's coming out way faster and people cannot make sense of it, but my mind is thinking very fast. So I kind of learn to adapt those things and to use it to my advantage. And Think AI exists because of these failures. We've been growing as the top 5,000 companies in US for last 3 years. I have a patent now, well, not now, since 2015 in AI. We've been working as Microsoft top 1% consulting partner for last few years now, out of 500,000 partners across the world. So some good achievements under the belt.
So you've been in AI since the 90s, which is way ahead of where most people are right now, even way ahead of most people knowing about AI. So what's the biggest difference between how AI was understood back then versus how it's being talked about and used today?
Yeah, so back then, about 95, 96, it was more academic. It required a PhD, it required massive budget. It required very specific use cases. My use case was more on the security algorithms, designing for cell phone conversation, which needs to be encrypted. And there was a basic pattern that we need to adapt. These days, it's very simple. You don't need AI for that. But back then, we do. And we had mainframe computers to have the computing power, which now in a small Mac Mini, I have it tucked under my desk right now. And that can handle the whole thing, or a very small NVIDIA device can handle it. So time has changed a lot. That's one thing. And AI is more mainstream now. Anybody can adapt it. Just paying like a $20 subscription per month for Claude or OpenAI, ChatGPT, you can build a team which would require $1 million budget back then. So that's the big real shift. It is in the hands of real human. Now you can see it as bad or good. It's your perspective, but it's in the power of a day-to-day human. I started a company with my son, by the way. He's ninth grader and he's using AI, and the kind of thinking that he has, it took me so many years to get there. And I'm a little bit envious. Like, why did not I have it back then? This kind of knowledge and power. So you don't buy any AI anymore. You actually build it. You build platforms using AI. AI is that electricity today where you can continue to build what you need to do. You can embed in everything. It can write emails, as you probably already know. It can manage your CRM. It can manage your calendars, and it can do a lot of other things as well.
Absolutely. So there's obviously a huge amount of noise around AI right now. I mean, even so that your son's using it and building companies with you. So, from what you're seeing, where do you think companies are getting it wrong when they're trying to adopt AI?
So one of the thing, and since we have a consulting company, Think AI, along with what we are building on our own, we see customer Think AI as a technology, like a SQL server, like a database, like a web application development. It's not a technology. It's really a platform. It's an underlying engine that you build upon. So it's a thinking more than what they are trying to achieve. The thinking is the big thing which is causing a lot of issues. So they go to ChatGPT and then they ask us very generic question, how my day looks like. Now ChatGPT doesn't know much about you. If it doesn't know much about you, it will say it is going great and you're gonna rock the world and you're gonna achieve millions and thousands of dollars, whatever, right? Because it is just feeding back with the data for what is coming from the internet. So it requires different contexts. The same thing for your employee, right? If you bring an employee today and if you don't give him any context and you'll say, just go build this document, and then he will have a lot of qualifying contextual questions. What document I need to build? Where would you use it? Do you have any template? Now, AI is also not mature today, or maybe they don't want to mature it at that level today, where it will start asking a lot of questions before it answering it because it's not in the benefit of all LLM companies today. So to keep it mainstream, they guess. You can see like how fast AI is responding back. And no matter how powerful a system is or the engine is, it shouldn't be able to respond that fast. So obviously it's answering premeditated. Things are already there, fed back into based on the questions you would ask, where you're coming from, what type of person you are. So that's one thing you need to get it right. Like AI, the LLM models are good to try, but that's not it. You need to go deeper. So when I say deeper, what I mean, you need to understand your own subject matter and expertise. You need to train that back to your AI and say, hey, see, I'm Dave. I am running 4 companies today. This is my schedule looks like. These are my customer looks like. This is what my pitfalls are. These are the weaknesses I see. These are some of the skills I have. This is the team skill I have. When you feed and give that kind of context to AI, it gets you better answers. So first step is training the AI, giving the right context. Second step is learning from the mistakes of AI and feeding it back. Same thing like an employee, you would train them. You will tell them what to do right. And AI will not make a mistake. It won't hallucinate there. And third, which is the AI sprawl. So every department buys a different tool, right? Because they think AI is cool. They will go out. It's really cool too. And they will just go out and just buy a technology. So marketing has something very siloed. Sales would have another. Operations have something else and they don't connect. So there is no governance. One of the big thing in AI, and I've been talking about it, is don't fall for AI sprawl. Actually, one of my guests in my podcast talks about it, and I love the statement AI sprawl. But governance is the key. If you don't govern AI, if you don't have a data strategy, because AI is data hungry. So if you don't have a governance, if you don't have a strategy, it's gonna fail, which is where most companies are failing. I can talk out a lot, but let me stop there.
Really good points there. Thank you. So, obviously, we've talked a lot about, and I have in the past with you as well, about AI driving real outcomes. So, what does that actually look like in practice? Like, how are you seeing AI directly impact revenue, efficiency, or growth inside a business?
So these are all great points. Back then, before AI, we used to talk about 2 business imperatives. First, making more revenue. Second, cutting cost or building efficiency. Now, the 3 things that you asked is in the alignment of that, right? So first is efficiency. Let's just talk about it. So we work with a lot of manufacturing and healthcare clients. Manufacturing specifically, if they are doing a lot of manual data entry, right? If they have a lot of documents and if somebody is scanning those documents or if they are doing the data entry, even if it's like 4 hours a week on $150 or $120 or even $100 per month per hour for a consultant, or even on a salary level $50, right? Even that costs a lot of money for 100 hours a year. So we first attack those kind of things where we can optimize a repetitive task. So that brings the efficiency. And it's not taking over a job of a human, it is basically removing what is repetitive for that person. So that now this person can spend a lot of time on analytics, insights, actions, and get their life back rather than keep entering data and then keep panicking about whether I entered it right or wrong, or somebody is then babysitting and doing the quality checks on it. So efficiency is big. I think that's the number one thing. That's the number one real example of AI. Second, you know this better than I do, building as AI sales assistant, right? So we did it using Claude for our own business, and we use our own knowledge. We use our client profiles. We use our proposal templates. So when an AI makes a cold call, unfortunately, that's how the business works. I wish we should know everybody in all formats, and that's the only way is going into the networking events. But what if you're not going there and AI is making a call on your behalf so that you're not repeating yourself 1,000 times, but it has the brain of yourself. And so when customer says, okay, who you are, it will give them the details. It talks about their pain point. The AI will give an example. It's an AI voice agent, and it will researches the company, pain points also through web, through LinkedIn and other places. It preps the presentation, it drafts the SOW, it writes follow-up emails. So not only making the cold call, but managing the whole sales development rep work and giving it to a senior person, replicating himself. Good way to make more revenue. There are more examples. This is one of them. Third, you mentioned is growth. So I run three businesses, but let me just say two businesses today. So one is more about software consulting world, where we have a team of 100 resources, more than 100 resources. Then other business we are trying to build on the business coaching part, where we are also doing training. And then on a personal level, I'm doing podcasts such as this one. And then I also build my own life OS so that I can go in the future and do those kind of things. So these are some of the ways AI can help you. So it can help you run two businesses. It can help you run a podcast. It can help you run your coaching program. And then you're freeing up your time. I'll talk about myself. Running these two, three businesses was taking about 60 hours of my time every week. I sold one of the companies in India just because of that. And now that I have a better control through AI, I'm literally working 4 days a week. My goal is to work 3 days a week so that those 2 days I can spend a lot of time on my health, family, and something new that I want to put together as a passion, whether it's business or personal. So that's the example of growth can be done. And pattern is always the same, right? You identify manual, repetitive, error prone things, you automate it, you measure it before and after, and that's the real outcome. I want to give one caution though. While it's driving real outcomes, cost for everything is not there yet. So ROI is one thing you always want to measure. For individual level, it is giving me ROI, but for an enterprise level, we are seeing that hit and miss with AI. And we go with the customers, we do the proof of concept. If we don't see the ROI, we tell them plain and simple, you don't have an ROI, do not go into AI yet. So that would be the word of caution I will give.
Okay, very good. So, next question. When it comes to winning new business and generating pipeline, how do you think about that today? And where does AI realistically fit in that process?
Sure. So in the previous question, we did touch upon it, building a sales assistant. We have a Claude project for it. So we have built custom instructions. We have built knowledge-based documents. We have also built a pipeline tracker. We use a CRM like HubSpot, and my AI can read through HubSpot. It can optimize. It can suggest changes. It can also suggest next action items based on the meeting history through Fireflies or through meeting agents that it has. We also have an ingrown meeting system my business partner developed called Amy. So that is capturing all these notes, action items, issues, decisions, etc., etc. Now we are using humans to do that marketing and sales. We generally don't like to use word sales. We are more marketing dominated company, but we want to have this conversational selling with customers. Is a great assistant because it can prep me or somebody in like about 2 minutes. I can just type a prompt. It will pull everything from past data, examples, use cases, problems, similar projects, that client or potential client, what is their history, what are they trying to do, what kind of challenges we saw for similar companies. So in about 5 minutes, I have a deck ready or a document ready, whatever we want to use it. And it makes it very intelligent. Not that our salespeople, including me, are not intelligent enough, but it saves a lot of time doing so. So this is a great example that we are using it for podcast also. My podcast, if you see my first podcast about my own life, it's written by AI, but I fed back. So I kept talking to AI on my life, my history, my challenges. Now, certain words I would not use that AI would give me. So I have to make some changes. But kind of speed through the whole process. And because of that, I hit top 100 in the business category on Apple Podcast. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so obviously there's a big gap between people talking about AI and actually using it effectively, like you
Mhm.
do. So, what separates the companies that are actually getting value from AI versus the ones who it just seems like they're experimenting?
So this is a great topic, by the way. And I thought and thought, and when you sent me this question, just a disclaimer, I knew these questions ahead of time, so it gives me some time to prepare. And I appreciate you doing so. I had like 5 different points. Is it okay if I go in deep on all those points?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, this is one of the most active pain point that we want to explore AI. If you see anybody talking about AI, that's what they're going to say, right? I want to explore AI. And they just come saying, okay, we are losing 200 hours per year and we can't see our data. If they say that, by the way, I would take that. But most of the time, they do not say that. They'll just say, remember, I said they people consider AI as a technology. So they'll say, yeah, I want to explore AI. And their conversation is, should I be using ChatGPT, Claude, Grok? And then I'm thinking this is the wrong direction we are heading. I mean, you don't want to have AI just because it's a cool technology and you have a FOMO, fear of missing out there. You really want to have, a use case and understanding how it can help you. So if they say, I'm losing 200 hours a year on this process, then I'll go deep and I'll say, okay, why are you losing 200 hours a year? And then they'll say, this person is doing 4 hours per week manual data entry for 50 weeks is 200 hours. I said, that's fair. How much money you lose there? Even though it's not about the money, let's put it into perspective. They'll say, okay, $100 per hour. And so that will be like $200,000 per hour per year, right? That's a lot of money. I said, okay, this is a good use case. So, what would you do if you save that time? And that's the kind of conversation we have. So, they'll say, oh, yeah, that person does this analysis and this and that. So, we'll say, okay, how about we explore AI now in this angle? We first try to automate the job and then get the meaningful insight so that that person can take actions. And now this is a good conversation, very specific and measurable, right? So, that's point number one. Point number two, do they have an executive sponsor? Because a lot of people come with that FOMO factor again and they say, yeah, I just want to explore AI. And they are not thinking about the outcome yet. So if there is no outcome, that means there's no budget associated with it. So that means whatever you're going to do is going to fail because you think AI is a magic wand and it's not. It's basically speeding your own mistakes. So if you don't have a thought through business process in place or way to optimize something, then AI will just mess it up even more. And then they will say, yeah, this is not what I wanted. So that's the point number two, having an executive sponsor. Third is your data ready? And like I was saying, in our data world, we call it garbage in, garbage out. Meaning, if your data is not clean enough, example, we live in states, right? So we have certain systems capturing a 2-digit state code, CA. Then another system is capturing California. And in the third system, they are only writing Calif or Southern California or SoCal. Now, there are rule based engines in the past where people can adopt and manage these systems, but AI will expand and expose all these issues big time. So we say, before you touch AI, let's look at your data. Are your data is ready for AI or not? And that's the key thing. So you make your data ready for AI. You can call it AI readiness also. And then 4 point is you measure everything. So you work iteratively, you keep measuring all these things, and then you improve upon it. And eventually you will start seeing those hours saved. So may not be 4 hours per week, maybe 2 hours, or sometimes 8 hours per week. Depends on how much we have optimized. And then comes the platform thinking. So then you need to associate with technology now. Like, do I need to go Claude? Do I need to go OpenAI? Do I need to go with Microsoft or Google for adopting the whole platform? Things like that. And those are the 5 points. And I'll summarize it. Get the active pain point number one, get executive sponsor, bring the data readiness there or AI readiness, measure everything, and then build the platform thinking. If you adopt to these 5 points, I think it's going to be amazing, and you will separate from experimenting, start getting outcome and real values.
Thank you. That was a really good answer. I learned from that as well. So, one more question for you. Looking ahead over the next 12 to 24 months, what do you think is going to separate the companies that win from the ones that fall behind when it comes to AI?
Okay, so again, this is a great question. And if AI is in silo, you're not going to win. If you think, I'm just going to pick one thing here and automate this, I'm adopting AI in my own company where I have humans also. See, a lot of times people think, okay, I will just build AI employee, let's say, for a lack of a better word, and they just keep working with that. But this AI employee needs to interact with real humans. Now, real humans have a lot of different things. Sometimes they are lazy, sometimes they are really motivated, sometimes they have different aspirations, sometimes they need motivation. AI doesn't have all that, right? How do you really merge these two? So rather than thinking AI as one siloed event or for one department, it needs to be thought through as an operating system for your organization. Even if you're an individual, it needs to be an operating system. And then it's not a tool that someone will use. It's how the company would run every process, every decision, every workflow. It needs to be embedded. And that needs to be humanized. I'm not saying AI makes your decisions. I'm saying AI assists your decisions. And then maybe in some cases it make decisions because it's like going from point A to point B. That decision is easier. So somebody has to think it through how to adopt this operating system, right? Second is where you want to have AI agents versus where you want to have AI as an advisor, a chat engine who can talk to. So one model is you ask a question, it answers, which is what ChatGPT is. The second model is you give a task, it will execute based on the previous thing that you have done with it, or it will ask you certain questions and then it will execute a task. In my case, I'll give an example. When I'm preparing a deck for a customer, like a solution presentation deck, I have the initial meeting from my sales rep from my lead generation company. Then I have initial meetings with my reps they have done. Then we have done some discovery. So we have these three things in place, right? It all fed back into AI using an agentic AI model. We can do it in Claude called Claude Cowork. You do everything there. It will spin off a presentation. We have already given some templates to it. So it will put it in our company's template format, and now this is all speed up. Now I don't have spent like maybe 2 hours or 3 hours building this deck. The deck is there. It's not usable, by the way, because there's a lot of my own thinking, let's call it art, needs to be there. Having the understanding of the business and the client. But my 60 to 80% work, or in some cases 90% work is done. So agentic AI thinking needs to be there, which needs to be humanized. We shouldn't be thinking about, I need to replace this human. It should be rather, what are the repetitive tasks they have where I can use AI's performance better, because a human may forget a lot of things, AI won't. So those are the places we need to apply. And third is, what is your data moat? Your proprietary data combined with your AI for your own competitive advantage so that no one can copy. So using AI also, you need to find the uniqueness. And that's the thinking we need to have, because a competitor, like I'm using Claude, thousands and millions of others are using Claude. But how I would use Claude versus somebody else would use it is the differentiator you need to build. And they can't really replicate. I have 30 years of experience. They can't replicate that. AI cannot replicate that. Even if I keep talking to AI, there are certain things sitting in the back of my mind. When I talk to a customer, it pops out, right? Versus AI only knows what you have fed back, and you cannot feed back each and every moment of your life, good or bad. So you're gonna win. So you have to use AI as that system, operating system, which can assist you for you to perform better. That would be, I think, is the last thing I would say.
Completely agree with everything. So that's the end of the questioning. Dave, it's been incredibly valuable having you here, and I really appreciate you sharing your perspective, especially given how long you've been in this space. Thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it. And to our audience, thanks for listening, and we hope to see you again next time.